Let's call the meeting for Wesleyan Ambulance District for May 25th, 2017 to order. Roll call, please.
Director Mike Webb?
Yes.
Director Dick Childs?
Here.
Director Cindy Russell?
Here.
Director Anne Stonelake?
Yes.
And Director Rick Yesney is absent.
Yes. Okay. New business. Introduction of new chaplains.
What I wanted to do is introduce you to, we invited all four, but wanted to introduce you to the ones that I could get and to this board formally do it because technically these chaplains provide service to both districts. And we've been talking a lot about them, so we'll work with getting the other two. One is out of town and I'm not sure what happened to one. I think he's working, so we'll work on getting it. But anyways, I'd like to introduce to you Mary Diamond. She's also been one of our volunteers, and you know her from the fire district. She's been there for a long time. And this is Shannon Curry. He's also one of our volunteers as well. And I don't know if you folks have anything to say or want to introduce yourself, or if you just want to stand there and not say anything, that's fine too.
Fine as most of you, so.
Nice to meet you all, and if you have any questions or input for me, the department's free to give my number out to whoever needs it.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
We appreciate your volunteers stepping up to do that on top of everything else.
Thank you, sir.
It's got to be a tough job at times.
You know, this is our home, and this is where we need to put our resources and ourselves. You know, it's the only part of the world that I can have an effect on is my immediate environment, and that's home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting.
No?
I wasn't here.
I am.
You were not here, but you had a chance to look at the minutes.
Yeah.
It goes there. I can't get everything.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Breakfast.
April 27th, 2017.
As soon as Dick is paying attention, maybe he'll second.
Say second.
I second it.
What do you second? Ann made a motion to approve the minutes, and
Well, I approve the minutes.
okay. Is there any discussion, any corrections?
No, I
necessary?
thought they were
Okay,
wonderful.
now we got it covered. Roll call, please.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Childs?
Yes.
Director Russell?
Yes.
Director Stonelake?
Yes.
Stonelake, sorry.
Okay. Now is our opportunity for public comment. Is there any public that would like to make a comment? Hearing none. All right, let's move on. Finance, HR report.
I'm happy to say that we hired part-time admin assistant. Her name is Holly, and she'll be starting over with us next week, getting orientation. And then I'm going to have her come over and work with Karen and get orientation over here. And that way, when Karen's gone, Holly can come over here and we can maintain the continuity.
What's your role going to be?
She's part-time admin assistant.
Okay.
And her role will be, she'll work Monday through Friday, 8 till noon, and she'll basically be able to do everything that the rest of us are able to do. So we did put them through, we had 30 applicants, we had 9 that we weeded it down to, and we got down to 3 after interviewing all 9, and actually did a testing process online, and one was eliminated at that point, and then it was down to 2, so.
Good.
Could also say being a part of the other part of the hiring process, those candidates were amazing. We were able to weed out to the point was great.
Good. Thank you.
And then on the financials, do you guys have any questions on the monthly financials? There was something that I noticed on the front page here, and I called and asked about it because I knew you guys would notice it. But that M47 set-aside account, I've never seen that on here before.
What page?
On the page 1,
Okay.
2017.
Yep.
Up under the assets. it says M47 set-aside account. So I called and asked what that was. And that should have been relabeled cash with county treasurer for, based on the auditor's adjustment. So that's what that is.
Oh, okay.
What was
Other
that,
than-
Julie? It should be what?
It should say cash with the county treasurer for the auditor's adjustments. And then in
Let
look,
me ask you,
Yeah.
on that page, in parentheses up here, money market account, in parentheses, that means a deficit? Is that what that means?
so if you're looking at, that's under the Life Med Fund.
Oh,
and that's-
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's because that's all tied up in there.
Okay, and then I noticed down here it says prepaid life care. Is that supposed to be life care or life med?
It should be Life Med.
Okay, I just didn't know, maybe you changed the name. Okay.
No, I didn't change it. That's in their system, so I'll bring
So
it
this
to
is in
them.
Holloway's system,
Yeah.
comes from them.
And Life Care was 8 years ago.
Now, the allowance for doubtful accounts, the adjustment has been made on this from the audit, so it only reflects the 132 as opposed to
The
the number we've
425.
been seeing for years.
Right. And that'll work its way out of being a negative number as we get through the end of the year and we get more collectibles. And we change it on July 1 this year. So when we change it at the end of this fiscal year, that number should not be a negative anymore.
Okay.
And then we're pretty much on track. If you go back to page 5, you'll see that we're well within percentage. The percentages, again, are strange. I don't know why it does that, but the vacation allowance one that shows 1,867.9%,
Yeah.
that's because we only budgeted $2,000, but we had a lot of people cash out vacation time this year. So that put us up over the original budget.
Is that from retirement?
Yeah, retirements and utilizing. But otherwise, we're right on track with where we should be for this time of year. You guys have any other questions?
So go back to did we allow for more vacation time for next year then, or?
We did.
How many?
We did put more compensated absences in there, yeah.
I could look, but if I ask
And another reason it looks like that is because it's taken from administration and operations and lumped into one, so if you break it out, it's not high together, separately.
It's kind of an interesting one in comparison year over year, personnel services, total personnel services. And this year, we're at 69.5% of budget. Last year, same time, we were at 70% of budget. I know there's a lot of variables in that, but some of it might be some of the IGA related overlap that's not shown in personnel, shown in other expenses. Okay. So everybody have a chance to look at the payables, the bills presented?
No, I didn't receive them. That was one thing I forgot to tell you, Julie. I didn't get the transaction list.
I'll let take a look at the transaction.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Was it in the computer?
I think it's at the back, might be at the back.
And I'm dealing with the hard copy paper and
That's
so
because you're
forth.
old.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
I agree.
Ooh.
She's mean.
Only for those that can handle it, right?
I like the labeling on this better. It's easier to track what's what. Expenses.
On page 5/6, I think it says. It says down here at the bottom, fire med adjustment.
Are you in the 2017, Ann?
Oh, I don't
She's
know.
looking on these.
Doesn't, you see? right here?
Oh, the fire med adjustment is our life med write-offs.
Okay. Instead of, should be life med instead of fire med.
We'll reciprocate with fire med too,
So that could be actually something, somebody had fire med and you did it.
Okay.
Actually, it's in their system, they can't change it.
Right,
They just
right, okay.
fireman, so.
One fire med and life med talk,
insurance.
it's interchangeable, it's the same.
Where is the, she's looking for the transactionals, I thought I found one, but it looks like all insurance payments, but.
It should be at the back
I'm in with all the attachments.
or behind my, look behind my report. I'm looking on the agenda, look behind my report.
Go back to the agenda and go from there.
Yeah. Go to my report. What, is it directly following my report?
No.
I didn't see it.
That's the budget art that you just went over.
So, Jim, what is this? Post-com and
Yeah, I do too. It's not,
$4,300
it's not in there.
It's not in there?
Wonder if it didn't get
to
digital.
well,
But this is all insurance.
Now, I couldn't get my stuff off of my computer, but I could use my smartphone. It all was on my smartphone, but it wasn't on my computer.
Huh.
Yeah, Julie, we don't.
It's not here either.
Well, let,
It's not showing up here
Let's
either.
make a quick hard copy of that one.
Yeah.
Get it to
they,
you.
get it from Jeff. Right, but is it in your report?
And I apologize, I actually looked
See
at
somebody
something
else
too.
that comes in.
Really well the other night to see what it is.
I looked over here on this guy.
I just want squirrel.
That's what, this is, these are the insurance receivables.
Yeah.
So Ann, you're actually missing what we're looking for. So bear with us.
Maybe Ann.
I'll have to look at it.
Ann was subtracting. No, I don't have it subtracting.
The other ones I looked at were this one on my digital board package.
That's what I got. No, it's not in the books either.
I'll be happy to report that you
Okay.
got the error.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're the only one with it.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
did
did
it
it
twice.
twice.
Right here.
Yeah.
So he's making some
Jim
copies.
never
so
said
we
it to
can
me,
look at
some
it.
of
Yeah,
that.
adding and subtracting on here.
That's me.
Did you see it, Mike? Did you have it?
Well, I was looking at the month-end summary in the digital package. Julie had the hard copy, so I had it here before me because I had to sign off on that one. But it is coming.
Yeah.
We'll have it shortly.
In the past, we've done motions on two separate, the transaction report and the financials. Do you want to combine
It
them
should be
all?
just on the transaction report because I don't think we have to approve the financials. We just review the financials.
We did in the past, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, whatever you guys.
They approved the money that's
The finance
transferred
report.
for it.
Oh, okay.
That's what, they review the transactions and the money. It's not in there.
Anything else you want to add while we're
Twiddling our thumbs.
looking this stuff up?
No, I apologize, it's not in there. I missed that too. I looked it over and completely missed that.
Well, even today.
I guess I thought it was
over
this.
Recognize this.
Well, I thought, I was looking at the AR report. It looks just like it.
I can see how you could get mistaken. I actually like this format. This is easy to read.
It is a lot easier to read.
We get to watch
Taxes
our
were
results.
probably stuck at 98.4% of budget. Probably won't collect that
No,
extra gap.
no. We might. We get one more payment in May, so there's a good chance that we might get a little bit more.
Life med billing going out to people shortly.
Yes, it's going out the first week of June.
Very soon.
thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
I will do a better check next time.
might even be good next time just to have expenses rather than deposits. I don't know if you can separate those.
Okay.
Because I don't remember seeing all the.
Do we-
I think this
We
is
don't
the-
need
This
deposits,
is the
do
full,
we?
no, this is the full transaction detail for the.
We can separate those out for you. That's not a problem.
I like that you have definitions of what they were used for.
Yeah, that definitely is helpful.
It's this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
telling us what it was for,
Yeah,
for water
there's
service
just
or
a regular
whatever.
Bi-Mart vehicle maintenance, what would Bi-Mart do to maintain the vehicle?
It's like windshield
Supplies.
wipers, stuff like that.
Okay. Just thinking, can I get my son who's working at Bi-Mart to do anything for you?
I'll tell him that.
Go for it. He'll just tell me all about that. Yeah, I'm good with that. You won't recognize him, he doesn't look like me.
I know who it is. So the site, the transaction, 17586, Siuslaw Valley Fire and Rescue, Spear White Coast, what is that? Postage? $4,000?
So there was, Spear Hoyt Jones is our legal person, and they're the ones that also handle the union negotiations for here.
And the other was probably the fiber,
The what?
the fiber connection.
Fiber optics.
No, that's the $87.50 that we paid to West Coast Media. It's West Coast Media, and it's the monthly website maintenance fee. So that's union negotiations and monthly
Okay.
website maintenance fee.
And we have a reimbursement for a transport to Kathy Lopez, 17571. That's,
There's a couple, there was another for 250 for probably.
he's actually right off
I don't remember, Matt, what were those for?
Generally, when we have to reimburse it, it's because it was overpaid and the insurance
Oh,
paid
okay.
up. So it comes out of our account with system design and gets repaid.
And that one I know specifically because Kathy Lopez actually was a Life Med member.
Oh.
And they didn't have the information that she was Life Med.
That's right.
Because I talked with her, so yeah, that one I know, but all the other ones are insurance, and the other ones were
Okay.
Life Med, where they billed her, she paid, and then realized she was Life Med member, so they reimbursed her.
We'll have to figure out how to do that, block it out or something after the plant.
Okay. Does that mean a motion?
I'll make a motion, we pay our,
Approve the transaction?
approve the transactions.
Okay. Any discussion? You still working on it?
No, I'm fine. I was finishing.
Roll call, please.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Childs?
Yes.
Director Russell?
Yes.
Director Stonelake?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have anything else on this one? Chief Director's report.
Just go over it real briefly with you. Payroll service, I actually submitted the first round of paperwork to them today, the first forms. Julie also made a personal visit up there earlier this week to hand deliver and go over the input of the initial information and make sure that if there are any questions, it will be handled correctly. And so that should be underway. So this will be our first month with that new system. IGA, we attached this month's objectives. Any questions on those objectives? Community participation, both the fire district and the ambulance district were very busy. In particular, the ambulance district participated this last weekend in not only running a lot of calls, but also in supporting the roadie run. And I was involved in that, and it was great. It looked good to have them out there. And we received some big kudos from Michelle Diffendorfer in regards to our participation. As you know, that we have a solar eclipse coming up here in August, and it's big news. And if you're not that familiar with it, just bear with me. I'll give you the quick rundown. This is a rare event, and there's a portion of Oregon that's going to be in what is known as the area of totality, which means that it's the portion of the state that's going to get complete darkness. And obviously being on the coast, we're going to be the first in the portion of the country that gets that sees it. As a result of that, it's expected that there are going to be a tremendous influx. I've heard the number of over 1 million people coming into the area. All the campgrounds and the areas, the area of totality are booked up and the whole bit. Oregon Emergency Management has created a plan, the fire marshals created a plan. Locally, we're looking at it. What we're being told here from a Florence perspective is that we are just outside of the area of totality, so we are probably not going to be as inundated. But what could affect us is the large number of people on our roadways, and we're just preparing and being aware of that it might impact our operations from a transport standpoint. We are meeting monthly with our partners, law enforcement, the chamber. Who else is in that group, Matt? There's the hospital in that group as well.
Hospital, OSP, FPD, the port, there's 12 to 15 players that have been in the meetings.
Just kind of talking about our considerations. We don't foresee any huge problems, but we're just situational awareness. Part-time administrative assistant, Julie hit that. The seismic grant, as you saw there, we got the official letters on there, and obviously this station is included in that. We've been in touch with Joe Slack of HGE. He's aware of it, and his recommendation at this point is this ties into the overhang, as we discussed a little earlier. He wants us to wait until we get the official paperwork to see what we can tie in there together and make it as efficient and as cost effective as possible. I've received the notification letters from the state, but I have not received the actual forms that will need to be signed by the board saying that we accept the grant. So I'm hoping to have that within the next month, and we'll be able to bring that forward. Both Matt and Jim Dickerson have been working very closely with the United States Coast Guard and the hospital and Lane County to prepare a large-scale drill out at the port that's going to happen June 8th. And Matt's probably going to address that in his report. If not, now's your chance, Matt.
Let me go ahead and do it now because I didn't put it in my report. Again, this drill was initially started by WLAD on a large participation drill. The hospital requested a surge drill, and so it went from the hospital to expanding to multiple players. So we're definitely going to be able to test our system-wide. Regency Care Center is also participating in it because they're a secondary triage point for our county. So 20 patients roughly will go over there, and then we'll test them and see how they do a triage, which subsequently we're doing some additional training with them to prepare for it coming up later this month and the beginning of next month.
Okay, new board member orientation. We've got a couple of new board members coming on. I'd like to make a recommendation that we have an orientation for them on June 30th, where we can sit down, we can give them some of the information that they're going to need, like policies. I think it'd be a good opportunity for the board president to also introduce himself. At this time, again, this is just proposed, that looking at June 30th, the afternoon, that's a Friday. Wanted to make sure that we were prepared for it, so open for discussion and direction on that if you think that's a good idea. Okay. And of course, all other board members are welcome to attend that as well, although keep in mind, if we get too many, it's considered a public meeting, so.
We do it at the time of the eclipse.
Right. Yeah, well, I did it June 30th so that they weren't board members yet, it wouldn't have to be an official meeting. The annual strategic plan and IGA review, recommendation by both boards was that we hold off on that until if there were new board members in place, that we could do that with them at that time. So I'm gearing up for that. We're outside of the first year for this district, and it was adopted in May, so we're going to be a few months. ahead. What I'm recommending is that we do it early in August. And I understand you're volunteers and you give a lot of time, and so I do apologize to you that I'm asking for more time, but at the same time, this is an extremely important document for the district because it helps us set our priorities for the year and make sure that we're going in the direction that this board wants us to go. At this time, my recommendation is August 5th, which is a Saturday. My plan is to combine the two districts but it does not, let me back up, it doesn't have to be on Saturday, it can be in an evening, it can be whatever you recommend. I'm at your service. It just seems to make sense that if we could combine everything into one day, it would be the best. So the thought would be that one district do their strategic plan review, then we go into the IGA implementation plan review that would involve both districts, and then we come out of that and we do the second district strategic plan review.
Point for you on that. Typically, August, this board has made a motion to not meet during the month of August, just as a general board meeting. So if we did this in lieu of a regular board meeting, it might be compensation for not having, not a replacement board meeting, but not have the board meeting that month. So just thought, we can entertain that in July.
What is the best way to communicate with the board in regards to trying to nail down a date? Do you like me to set one, put it well in advance? Do you like to make recommendations on what fits your calendar best, or what works the best for you?
There's an email with options to choose from, rather than set a specific
That
date
works.
in your email. Give the board members certain dates as options and ask for their input, their availability, and see if we can get a consensus. In the summer, it's going to be tough to get everybody together.
There's been a couple of times where I've had to respond back to emails similar to that, where you can actually go up online and pick days that you want to
Google
set.
poll?
Yeah, that's one, and there's other ones too, and then you can send that all out, and which days work the best, and then you can figure out, okay, the 4th works the best, and then that way everybody.
As long as we don't reply all, it's just a reply to you.
Right.
No board meetings on online.
Do that, and I'll work with you special on that, so in the event if we do like a Google poll or something like that, if you have challenges with it, let me know.
Well, I don't have any challenges with my email at all. It's this tablet thingy that I have here.
Okay. What Matt's talking about is kind of like this little internet thing.
Oh, well.
It'll email right to you, and you can just pick what days work best for you.
Send it back.
It would be like 5 days, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can say all those days work for you, or you can say actually the 4th is the only day that works for you.
Sure. That's good.
And other than that, the only other thing I wanted to bring up is that I think you're coming up on some of the age of your little laptops, and the fire board has iPads, and they're getting to the point where they're getting a little old, so we're getting to that replacement date. What I wanted to get a little bit of feedback as we prepare for that. I don't know if there's a preference between a tablet or a small laptop like that, or what do you call those, a notebook or something like that. But if you have any recommendations for us or preferences.
Not
like
one of
that.
these that I've had issues with, but this Dell hasn't worked well for me. I don't know if anybody else is enjoying it or not.
I haven't enjoyed it at all. I use it because I have to.
Would an iPad work better for you guys?
I've never used an iPad, so I don't know.
Personally, after playing around with the smartphone, the iPad mindset is really easy, so.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the kind of feedback we're looking for. Other than that, are there any questions for me?
Yeah, there's something in the package that says IGA financial reporting that I got in my package that talks about coming up with a solution that's going to provide a little bit more ability to measure in a clear-cut way that the public can say, are we saving money, are we losing money, is this working, and from a financial standpoint. So you've got that as a directive here.
Right, yeah, actually, what I'm requesting permission to do is, and direction to do, is to get together a group of people with financial and other types of expertise background, with the intent of solving the issue of what is it that we should be looking at from a financial perspective to clearly define where we stand with the IGA. And I think that what we've seen here is it's interpreted multiple different ways, which opens that up for confusion. And so I think by bringing in the folks that I've recommended, and in particular, there's a couple that I really think are important. One is our auditor, and Chris Marr is not only the auditor for the ambulance district, but he's been awarded the contract for the fire district as well. And in fact, just before coming in here, I followed up with him on this, and he thinks that it's a great idea and would like to be involved with that. Terry and I, who's the fire chief of Blaine Fire Authority, recently went through working with multiple boards and working with multiple budgets, and I think he might have some interesting insight, maybe not the financial expertise that these others do, but I think he might have some perspective that we don't have yet that could help us. Edgar Johns, who's a community member who's got a finance background, I think would be good. Rick Yesney, who has a healthcare background as well as being a CPA, I think would be an excellent addition to that. Larry Farnsworth, who has a financial background and a healthcare background, would be good. Ron Green, also another person with a financial background, and Mr. Webb. Those are my recommended people that we reach out to. Certainly open to others and any feedback.
Well, I would just like to, if we form this team, and I think it's a good idea because we had numbers thrown around and every one of them could have been right. And we want to make sure that we have a way to say, this is where we are and this is what exactly we're measuring within this number, so people can make arguments about whether that measurement is correct, not the number.
What we're planning on, not to belabor the point, but just for clarity, what I'm planning on doing is at our administrative advisory committee meeting, which is scheduled for July, we bring in these people, we present them with what I call a problem statement. The problem is we do not, know exactly how we should be quantifying the financial aspect of the IGA. So we present them with that problem with the goal of creating 2 or more recommended solutions with the justification, with the intent that I then bring those recommendations back to the board and we get board approval on both ends, that this is how we will measure it, and then once we have that, staff will report on it on a monthly, quarterly, whatever basis you would like.
Do you need a motion to do something?
Well, I want to ask a question. I'm looking at this and it's all board members. So isn't there a possibility of just getting some lay people that's interested in the community to be on this board also?
Because we have 3 you have them listed as citizens, like Larry's citizen, but he's going to be about a board member, same with Ron Green. And I would rather, if you look at it number-wise, you have 1 from fire board, 3 from ambulance board.
Just for clarification, is when I wrote this, I actually wrote this for the fire district as well, so technically the election had not happened at that time, so.
So I think we need to choose other people than having it all board and heavy on one side.
Let me ask
versus the
a
other.
question. It might be good from the board perspective to define how we measure it, but it might be good, or even better, to take it out to the public, or to, not necessarily to any committee of public, does this make sense to you? And make sure that they can read and understand
that was the intent of having it at the AAC meeting.
Okay.
Which consists of stakeholders, public members, employees of the district, and those are certainly open meetings as well. I guess this is my thought on it, okay? And the reason why I made the recommendations that I did was I wanted to get people with financial background and an understanding, because I think if we just do citizens at large on there, we're going to end up with the same issue that we had
Citizens
before.
at large, like go to US Bank or some of the other banks and get some people from there, because legally now you've got 3 board members from us, then it's a public meeting, isn't it?
And who are the stakeholders, I guess? Maybe you always bring up stakeholders, and I've never been really clear whether it makes any difference right now or not, but I'm just curious who the stakeholders are.
With the AAC?
With whatever, it's always been, because Brian used, well, stakeholders, we need to do this because of the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Is that Joe Citizen out on the
It
street?
can be,
or-
but it's kind of anybody that has a direct measurable impact or is impacted by our actions. So that you look at basic employees, you look at members of the board and that kind of stuff as more directly impacted, but then citizens at large, the hospital, that kind of stuff are all stakeholders as well. And how far out you want to go, the stakes get smaller as you go further out. But I mean, everyday citizens that are within our tax district are stakeholders. Absolutely.
Okay, well, we certainly reach out to other people.
Because right now I feel like OPB has it.
You can write me
Yeah.
off there, but I just.
But I'm just saying, also the fact that we're going to have 3 board members there,
Mhm.
and
But
so that makes it a meeting.
In all honesty, I
you know,
just want to clear cut, same way measure over time
Oh,
that we
yeah,
can say
I
this
want to
is.
have
Same
it
numbers
set
instead
so
of-
that
Yeah,
we're
different
always looking at
numbers
the
out
same
there.
numbers. I
Yeah.
totally
Okay.
agree with that. I just don't agree with who's selected so far, who's been recommended so far, let's put it that way. I
Do
would
you have
rather
any
see.
particular people you'd like to recommend?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Maybe, I've forgotten her name, the mayor of Dune City that's also
Becky.
manager of US Bank could be a possibility. Maybe, because then you have a
How
financial
about-
background.
Banner
How
Bank.
about Aaron Reynolds?
Dee Osborne from Banner Bank.
That, I'm concerned on both parts, that it's one financial institution is bringing in the expertise,
Yeah.
and then also the fact that fire could look at it and say, well, we've only got 1 board member in there and ambulance has 3. Of course, we're gonna approve it because then we've already got a majority of people involved in it.
And then how about our bookkeepers and our accounting firms here? They know numbers as well as a banker.
Sure.
So I think that we need to reach out.
Well,
a
actually,
little
one of
more.
the practical things, I would almost stay a little bit more public agency if possible. And I'm thinking the city of Florence,
The financial people
the
from there.
financial people from there that are involved with how public agencies report might be an easier
That would be
translation
good.
than some.
Yeah, good idea.
That other CFO that's interim there has a lot of background.
Yeah, he's really good, and Aaron has background too, so that they would look at it from a completely nonpartisan point of view and be able to give Linda an eye as to whether it's making any sense or not. But I'd suggest reaching out to maybe 6 or 7 people total and seeing what the team looks like and then come back and maybe let us know who those people are. But do you need a motion to pursue this?
I don't think so. This was just more looking for permission to move forward. You can, if you want to make it formal.
Well, my gut definitely says we need to do something like that, so if we
Yeah.
want to make a motion to do that, I think it formalize it.
So it's a motion to create a committee for standardizing the reporting system for the IGA.
I second that.
Any further discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Childs?
Yes.
Director Russell?
Yes.
Director Stonelake?
Yes.
Ops, anything else, Jim?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Ops manager report.
So Director Stonelake pointed out that I can't do simple math, so I apologize for that. Year to date, our call volume, we're down 55 total calls, and fiscal year, we're down 113 calls, which historically is common with April. It did already start picking up through the month of May. So I actually anticipate us getting more in line with the end call volume of 3,400 at the end of the fiscal, or actually closer to 2,800 at the end of the fiscal year. We've changed the way that we look at the call volumes to mirror fiscal years versus year to date. So that's why there's 2 different numbers there. The Life Med promotion, we'll just go ahead. You guys seen this too, and you have copies of it. I'm really pleased with how it turned out.
While attending the Toastmasters meeting. cutting-edge technology to keep me alive. I found that Western Lane Ambulance has a great survival rate. My membership covered all my calls.
For just $65 a year, Western Lane Ambulance gives you so much for so little. So be sure you're covered.
Good.
I've never seen the top of the ambulance before.
So then we do have a breakdown that it'll be airing on KUZI several, yeah, there you go. That's what it's at. And I have to thank the chief because he took the ball and ran with it while I was at the community paramedic training the last 3 days, which is a great segue into the community paramedic program. We've essentially secured all the funding for a 2-year pilot program, as we know that we've been working on this, that we're going to be all eyes on Western Lane County as we develop this program, that when, I say this with knowing that we're going to be successful, that when we are successful with the program, that the rest of Lane County will model it after us. A little extra stress to it, but I think we'll manage it just fine. Charlie and I spent 3 days up in Wilsonville at a mobile integrated healthcare / community paramedic training. The training itself for Charlie and I, being in the field for nearly 20 years each, was very remedial. However, the networking value that we received from it and the contacts that we got out of it is huge. We're now a part of the MIH, Mobile Integrated Healthcare Coalition of the state of Oregon. So every month, at the beginning of the month, I believe it is always June, January, or the first of the month, depending on how it falls, there will be teleconferences and meetings that we can get to and figure out what best practices are, what pitfalls other MIH programs are going through. So that was definitely a huge learning lesson, just getting a part of that MIH coalition. So
That was worth the price of admission.
well, the price of admission actually was cheap. It was just the room and board up there for Charlie and I. I think it paid off just in the networking alone. We have at least 7 contacts that we can reach out to at any time. In fact, in June, I'm going to go down to Klamath Falls and see how they're doing their MIH program, and then come back the next day up to Mercy Flights and visit with their MIH and watch how they're doing it. And so I get the hands-on operations of how are they doing their programs. And then subsequently, when we get the employee hired, I will go up to the Grand Ron area because there's one up there, and I think it really will mirror us the best because they work closely with the Hospital of Providence up there with their program. And that's the groundwork we've done over 15, 20 years of building relationship with the hospital has really laid out a positive outcome for the success of this. A lot of the problems that people have is that they don't get hospital buy-off, or the nurses aren't buying off on it, the physicians aren't buying off on it. So I guess the moral of the story is never burn bridges, and we've done that very, very well and liaised with the district, our partners, and that I'm hoping this is going to set us up for success moving forward. Any questions on that? I know it's a lot. I'll be putting out into the papers. I'm going to go about this differently on trying to secure an employee. I can't go through the conventional ways because this is a different, even completely thought process and a full-time employee from what we're used to trying to secure. Any other questions on MIH?
Well, I know I talked with Kathy, who heads up hospice and home health, and she's really looking forward to this implementation.
I think initially where we're going to get most of the clientele from the MIH program will actually be out of the ER for what were termed frequent flyers. And then eventually as we build onto it, then palliative care, home health, hospice will definitely be part of it. Exciting times. I have a waiver that was an add-on at the very last minute for 2620.60. Last month with the budget, or at the board meeting, I think we approved anything up to 2,500 that I can go ahead and write off according to our procurement policy. However, this is up to $2,620.60 for this waiver.
Relax capacity.
He definitely, excuse me. He's a veteran with an income, monthly income of $1,175 for SSI and SSB. So he doesn't have a lot of money. So my recommendation is that we continue with waiving this bill with a financial hardship, and we can send it up to Systems Design tomorrow.
And there's no other option for collection from any agencies, insurance agencies, or anything like that? There's nothing?
Unfortunately, this gentleman was a veteran, and I was actually on the call, and this was last summer, actually, 16. Yeah, the veterans are they handcuff you a lot. It's almost like Medicare on what they will and what they won't pay. So that's my recommendation with that hardship. If you approve, we'll move forward with it.
We need a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve this gentleman's request.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Childs?
Yes.
Director Russell?
Yes.
Director Stonelake?
Yes.
Moving on, we were awarded a car seat grant. I think it's fantastic, and as we develop our community outreach and public education, this money will definitely serve into getting more car seats out to the little ones. The training report was attached as well. If there's any questions on that, we've kind of hit on some of the things that we're working on. And finally, we're working on 3 competitive bids. I've narrowed it down for EPCR, which with the budget approval today, then I can start moving forward, looking at essentially starting July 1, looking at transitioning our report writing software to either ESO or Image Trend. One final topic is the agenda bill for ballistic vests. Again, back to the procurement policy, anything over $7,500, we need board permission approval. They have met their expiration dates, so we request that the board approve the agenda bill so we can move forward and get the ballistic vest for our employees.
So we can sell these to our enemies. Move on. Motion to approve.
I move that we approve buying the personal protective equipment.
Second.
And just a
Point
point
amount of $7,500. Is that it?
just a point of clarification, the PPE that was in the budget I talked about ballistic vests, but we already have money this year for it, so that PPE will carry over to what other needs that we meet, like helmets or coveralls. Traffic vests, right.
I just wanted to clarify the motion, that was $7,560.
Thank you.
So roll call, please.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Childs?
Yes.
Director Russell?
Yes.
Director Stonelake?
Yes.
And happy to entertain any other questions the board may have for operations.
Things working?
Do you need a calculator?
I do need a calculator.
Yeah.
You don't have it on your watch?
I have it on my smartphone, but
Ah.
as you can see, I'm wearing new things.
I do, I noticed that
That's
you were
one of
getting
the
intelligent.
reasons why is that I caught myself being like some of the elder personnel, and I'm like, okay. I think operations, we've not only continued the stride that we have and like I like to use the expression that we're pursuing excellence, knowing that we'll never be excellent, but it's the pursuit of excellence that drives us there. The recent hires are hitting that stride as well and showing immense capabilities. Operations, I'd like to comment as well, is that I don't think we've ever worked as well as we have with the fire district. So in an operations world, we've worked almost seamlessly now on calls. We've always had a good working relationship in calls, but there isn't don't call the fire department for that call, or don't do that for, now it's call us, help us, it's the working together mentality that we're trying to instill at the management level that I think is starting to go all the way down, top to bottom as well. And we have Chief Dickerson and Chief here as well to comment on that, but that's my interpretation of what I've seen over the last 3 to 4 months. It's really starting to grab a hold, and even Rossi can say something to that.
It's been really great working with the guys, and especially like Jim and the Chief. They listen to our calls, and sometimes they're arriving there before us, letting us know what's going on.
And just a side point, it was in my report that we're developing our farm league really well, and a lot of that's because of Chief Dickerson spending a lot of his personal time going upriver and putting on an AMR class. We have the basic class coming up, so one of the goals that we've always tried to do, you know, even 2 years ago when we had that residency requirement conversation, was to really focus in our mutual aid, focus in on developing our own farm league. Now we have 10 part-time personnel.
Wow.
So we're meeting those objectives, and I really think it's starting to shine and show too. That even our part-time guys, they're held to a standard, and they're really starting to hit their strides.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Future business? Do we have any future business we have to consider now? No. Any executive session necessary? No. Nope. Board director comments?
Yes, I have a comment. This is my last meeting. I will be gone for the next one. So I am David Rossi. You can relay the message. I dearly love the folks in the back. I will miss them. I hope they'll miss me. But, and I hope this goes forward as you folks want it to go. I have never changed my mind. I still think we need to stand alone. We have a guy here that's really picked this up. We have a lady in the front office that I really approve of. That's my opinion. So I guess my last final statement is I'd like to see this stand alone. And thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna miss
Thank you. Well, thank you. So when I
Thank you
walk
for-
out, this will be my last time out of here.
Well, thank you for the 20 years of service that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a big part of my life. I have really put a lot into this organization. I have forego a lot of personal things at home because I had a meeting here, and that's over, and this is it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy? No comment? Okay. Thank you. You made a big difference. One thing I observed, listen to the scanner, it's fun sometimes it's not. There was an accident a few weeks ago, 35th Street, 2 cars, kind of, used to hear it like a fire drill where you'd have a lot of chaos, people on the radio trying to figure out where they're going. I think you were on the scene real quick. And hearing coordination, the ambulance, we had 2 ambulances going because there was 4 patients or 3 patients or 3.5 patients delivered. I don't know what the whole deal was. But you coordinated people. They called, the radio traffic was calm, behaved, people knew where they were supposed to go. Things fell into place, it seemed, on the radio a whole lot better than I had historically heard that. So hats off to you.
To interject, I was not on that call. That's the training we've been delivering to our duty chiefs.
Oh, really?
And our duty chiefs
I
are really
blamed it
going
on you.
along very well.
But it was good. So anyway, hats off. Any further comments? Nothing? Motion to adjourn?
How do we adjourn?
Meeting over.